Page cannot make it.
That's correct.
Is that right?
That's right.
Okay, Ms. Page cannot be here today, so her absence. First of all. Well, let's make sure when we're ready, we'll go ahead and do the gavel. Over to the gavel and say, welcome, everyone. Hello, I saw somebody. I got excited. My glasses are like I really see. So, is that what it was? I saw something. I don't know what I saw. I saw something. Excuse me, I'm calm down.
We are live on YouTube and
Okay.
ready to go when you want us to do it.
Thank you. Thank you. See you. Okay, it's time for welcome and introductions. Any new introductions needed at this time? Anyone think of any new introductions are needed? If not, let's go ahead and launch it to roll call and introduction of any special guests. Hello, Dr. Newbill. Waving at you.
Hello, how are you?
I'm well today, thank you. It's a good day.
Good, good.
Roll call.
Mr. Blackwood. Chairman Cullen.
Here.
Mrs. O'Bannon. Ms.
Here.
Thank you.
All right, okay, very good. Now that we have a quorum, we can also entertain the old business and minutes of May 21. Are there any corrections or on the minutes as presented? Hearing none, may I have a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
So moved.
It's been moved and properly second. No additional discussion, maybe. All those in favor, sign of aye. 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 Those opposed, sign likewise nay. The ayes have it. The minutes are approved. New business, May's financial statements and our 2021 outlook. Ms. Seeger.
Thank you. I'm going to Mr. Van Horn.
All right. These financials.
Okay. Page 5 in your package is the first page of the financials. And the first thing that I wanted to note was, again, the accounts receivable and the accrued revenue are in good shape. They're reflecting fairly timely fashion and getting into a really pattern. So, numbers, accurate numbers. A few months ago, there was to accomplish that.
Can you hear us, Ms. Smith? Dr. Newbill?
You might have to speak up.
She's,
Hello?
yeah. Can you hear us?
Yes, it went out a little bit, but I think it's back. Could be because I'm parked outside. I'm not sure here.
Okay, we can hear you well. So good to hear.
Okay.
Miss Page, hear you. Can you hear us, Miss Page? Hello, New Kent. Okay, no problem. Lisa's listening. Go ahead, Mr. Bill, on the financials and the other comments. That's good enough.
Okay, and then on page 6,
Okay,
you see the fund balance in the column to the right, 1.3 million.
okay,
You know, that's a increasing number month to month, and solid with your goal of maintaining a $1 million fund balance.
okay. Fund balance is,
Fund
what's,
balance, though,
yes,
if I can ask you-
please, yeah, please, questions,
I'm
comments, fund
seeing
balance.
this,
Yeah.
but that fund balance, is that not supposed to be cash fund balance?
Yeah.
It is, I'm not seeing where the cash is.
Easily accessible, yes, you can.
Because I'm seeing the actual accounts that were only 737.
I don't have that information on My understanding was that the fund balance in the governmental funds was supposed to be $1 million. I am not certain, informed of what its composition was. It was supposed to be.
Well, that's why I'm asking the question. Is that supposed to be a cash available, immediate available funds?
Yes.
And
It
so,
could be like you have to notify in date in advance that you're going to.
yeah, that's why I'm questioning. We got 737 cash.
Cash, yeah.
But so where is the other? That is immediately available. We had that.
We have not, in the time that I have been here, functioned with a cash account balance of over $1 million. So I will go back and do research to
Okay,
determine.
well, I'm asking the question.
Yeah,
I'm not saying
I
it's right or wrong.
I hear what you're saying.
But
Yeah,
it just was, I was looking at this today, I started asking myself that same question.
right.
Was this supposed to be a cash? And I really have to rely probably on Holland. Pat, you were here at the time.
All I
Yeah,
know is it's
before,
supposed,
so-
like you said, it's supposed to be easily accessible. Look, the whole point of it is if the state says you're dissolved and you have to start something else, that's it. You gotta maybe move or do something, or we choose to, or we get kicked out.
And I know we have
You have to have
assets that are
access, yeah.
investments, I mean, obviously that would be dissolved.
Yeah.
Just one piece of information that I have that's not in your pocket. The cash balances as of June 30, 2020, 565,000. So in these 11 months, it's increased from 565 to 737. So you do have, the net income that you're experiencing this fiscal year in terms of something cash as well.
My question is just basically to make sure that we're doing it.
Yeah, we can that definition. The research that I have done, I will go back to sort of look at your specific question, but the research that I have done indicates that
I'm sorry.
it's the fund balance figure showing on page 6, the second page of the balance sheet in the right-hand column. That has been the number that we have been using in my tenure here to compare to the budget. So 2 years ago, when we went below, that was the figure that went below. It wasn't the cash balance, but I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm not in any way arguing. I know
Yeah.
that's what we've been doing. It just
Yeah.
happened to hit me when I was
I hear you.
sitting in the car before I came in here with this. Are we really doing what we was originally intended, or is this okay?
Well, I think it's probably presentation is probably the challenge of it. I think that what they'll see is how it's presented. But normally we have like beginning, unassigned balance, then we get additions, deletions, and ending unassigned or fund balance per se.
This is
I think that's-
under the GASB definition, government accounting services.
Yeah, so I think
It
that's,
may not be what you think it is. The annual financial reports, the state and local governments. It's fund balance is the difference between assets and liabilities in government authority. Funds accounted for the bread and butter, typical tax supported activities. But what I know we talked about was the fund balance is there. And if this had to disband, you can pay off all your employees and your employees. What do we base the $1 million? Because I know we based it. We got to like $970,000.
That was 7 before. Okay.
But we did it again. I know we did it.
yeah, we established that last year. We looked at what was appropriate fund balance of
What was the amount we
or
wanted?
1 million, what we were
Yeah,
talking
and we
about,
got to
remember?
1 million.
Yeah, the 1 million. we said-
970,000.
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. You pay off your debt, but you need to pay off your debt, special revenues. Permanent funds where they principal amounts restricted and being invested, income that cannot be spent, you can invest it in something that you can't spend.
I will say,
And so there's
perhaps, correct me if I'm wrong, but the accounts receivable is the next sort of liquid as far as assets go. So that is cash coming, just not deposited as of yet, right? Speaking about that.
Right, accounts receivable are balances that have been billed to
Yeah.
grantors, other customers
Right.
that are to be received.
Yes, cash to be received, which would increase the cash balance you alluded to, Mr. Peters. Okay, that's what he's alluding to there. That's part of the assets there, but it's showing 737,000 in actual cash itself in the bank. So, and of course, then you got receivables of number 488. So that puts you at close to that $1.3 million.
Percent, so counting term percentage, the accounts receivable are.
It's close to cash. It's like within 30 days. It's cash.
Yeah.
Yes,
Is it being-
Accountable for our.
Yes, calendar toward that, yeah.
And that's
That's
what be invested but can't
Yeah,
be spent.
So.
Yeah, and you have the two of those. Remember, we talked about the 488 accounts receivable, 1,200, and then you have the miscellaneous receivables, grants, which is another source of revenue, of cash revenue, which is, and of course, as well as the 45 that's due. So that's a receivable as well, which are all current assets due within less than 1 year, which would be another 400,000.
Branch is
So
a
488.
grants.
And they're restricted to something.
Yeah, they're restricted to the grants.
So the accounts receivable, these are.
488, yeah, the 488, yeah, and the 7, that's about 11.
But you need to match it to the fund that accounts.
Yeah.
Not accounts receivable. That's. it's coming in.
Yeah, so that would be account, that accounts receivable, so I think that 488 is what primarily what you said was people stood on.
I mean, all the amounts in that far right column
Okay,
are near-term.
Near
amounts
term.
By definition of government gap.
yeah, Yeah.
Governmental fund. So even the 300,000 in accrued revenues. That is in that bucket, it's been earned by the organization, so it's due to the organization.
One will not count toward that.
Yeah.
That's the key.
And so all of those assets are deemed to be readily convertible to cash.
a reasonable period of time, usually like, in this case, probably almost 90 days, or 30 to 90 days. Reasonable convert, so it would be cash, so that would make it feel a lot better. Back there.
Oh, I
Yeah,
went there,
yeah,
but yes, I just want to understand where it was.
Let me ask it this way.
Yeah.
If this building burned down, we have insurance, renter's insurance.
It's included in the policy that we have as part of the emergency risk sharing. So, our contents, to the extent that a value assigned to them, would be recoverable under insurance policy.
What I'm getting at is that fund balance can be used. That's the other thing.
right, is unspent equity. It's real, unspent equity. Unspent equity. Net equity, sometimes we call it net equity, yeah.
Not
net equity.
committed, yeah,
Yeah.
it's reserved, right, for emergency. What do we call that?
Yeah, you could say that, you could say that's what it is, that's
That was
correct.
the idea.
Yeah. In addition to your insurance policy that you mentioned, in addition to that.
All I remember is we didn't have it with that low, really low. I mean, this is a long time ago. Things happen. Long. And, you know, So
Liquid
that's,
cash.
yeah.
If we find the standard right there, our 488 accounts receivable here is money coming in. for
Yeah.
the, costs related to that have already been spent, so they're not here. So that is, yeah, straight.
Both that and the
Yeah.
revenue
That's
are
correct.
based on the outside of it. So they are due to the organization.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, that would be,
And that's because we function on a reimbursement basis, so the agency actually advances all of our expenditures, so even what you're saying at the pass through, we've incurred those expenses on the funder's behalf, and this is reimbursing us.
so it's cash.
So this is, in other words, there's no cash committed out of those
That's right.
receivables. They
That's
are all those expenditures. I'm perfectly content with that.
Okay.
Okay, so we're moving on to the
Yes, please.
profit and loss statement,
Yes.
pages 7, 8, and 9.
All right.
Very bottom of page 9,
Yes.
again for May. The organization achieved $32,000 net income. Very consistent with the previous 3 months, 4 months, where self-returned have settled in at about 50,000. And even though the revenue is fluctuating somewhat, so are the expenses. That's based on pass-through expenses. Other contractors and such contribute to revenue at the same time. So it does appear that the activity level is fluctuating a little bit, but it's turning into revenue covering their expenses.
Mhm.
From state bottom line.
Looking at it, May, for example, see the gross profit. I like to look at the total gross profit for May. We're looking at $250,973.20. Our gross profit is on page 7, and our expenses would be total expenses would be what, $218,171, and therefore our net bottom line net income is 32, which is pretty close to, very close to what Aiken was at $32,577.19. So we continue to be relatively, as you point out, flat and a little bit of change there to get to a year to date. Our year to date net income is $102,441.44 at this point. Okay, we're okay with that, and of course. Always, when we get close to the end of the year, it's always good to have a good feel for budget versus actual. Comparative budget, that is actual versus budget. So we got one more month in the operating cycle to go, which is June. The month of June will be finished. So we have one more month to go. And we, I guess, somewhat anticipate, this is a question I'm asking. We somewhat anticipate, what do we think the June numbers will look like, what June projected net income? Well, where are we there in terms of that?
You have a feel for the activity level.
Yeah, I mean, I think just based on staff vacation time, I think we would expect to see a lower rate of recapture. You know, so personnel costs are going to be about the same in June as they were in May,
Okay.
but not as much billable time because of vacation leave. So I think I will expect to see a net income, but have it be
A little bit
lower.
lower.
Yeah. As you know, because we've talked about this a lot, and so much of that is who's on vacation,
Mhm.
and then what are the people who aren't vacation doing?
Mhm.
And so there's a little bit of kind of, I think, the month of June, just based on what I've seen from the first half of the month time cards. Those who are not on vacation are spending the majority of their work in billable time. So that is helping. I, for example, have not spent any time in June thus far. It's not reimbursable for grants. And so, you know, the quick math on that is that I certainly, my time cannot steer the organization, but it definitely can offset another staff person's vacation. So I would say that we would be expecting still a net income, but you know, I would say that we should be very satisfied if it's more than 2/3 of the May.
Okay, and you know, I hear you. And so as we get to June 30th, we want to take a look at June 30th actual versus budget.
Yeah.
And because I know the audit's going to have that as they analyze the numbers to make sure someone reason what we budgeted, what we expect for that period for the year ended 2021, June 3rd, 2021. Any questions or comments from anyone on the committee? Yes, please. Yes.
At the beginning of this year, we obviously had, y'all recall, we had quite a few months where we were in red.
Yes.
And a lot of that was for the pandemic. I'm assuming we do not foresee that recur this year. Now, I'm correct on that. See it going down, but we had that, this was aggravated, I think, by dual vacation, additional vacations and everything else.
Yeah, I think there were three primary drivers of the losses reported in the early months of the year. I think in part, it was because in those months, we don't typically have leave, and we did. From staff, before staff members who, when they are working, they're spending time in reimbursable programs. We also had some early in the year expenditures that, just came out of our operating. And then I think the third is the comments at the beginning of this report where there was a high enough level of comparison of our accounts receivable and our accrued revenues. And so that reconciliation. So I do not think that July through January are really going to be good benchmarks for us in future year comparisons. Some of the picked up revenue in the third quarter of the year, mainly when you start to see the higher level, February is really where it started. Some of that revenue wasn't earned in February, it was actually picking up revenue that should have been reported earlier in the year. So, to your point, there was sort of three layering things going on.
That's what I'm saying. I just want full reassurance that we weren't going to go through that again.
No, I think we are on a much stronger trajectory, and I think Dan and Diane have been working to put the systems in place to be able to make sure that each month when the books are reconciled, we've got those expenses matched and revenues approved.
That's exactly right. That's what I envisioned and saw as well.
Last 5 months
Yeah.
are so much better than those first.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so again, I don't think that next May, we should necessarily expect to see, a net income of $32,000. I think this entire year, we've talked about that, about how do we even really think about this year as a benchmark for other years. Nothing about this year has been typical. But we have a lot of solidity in the budget that was adopted. And I think with the systems in place, I do not expect that we will see the results that we did this year in the first quarter next year.
Okay, that's good. Any additional questions? How about accruals? And you can see it in significant accrual. Like Tim, I know we have to approve the retirement, make sure we get that book appropriately. Retirement.
Right. Yeah, that'll affect the government-wide statements, which are on a full accrual
Okay.
basis. But that's pretty much the only significant one. Approved leave.
Okay.
May affect the bottom line a little bit. I'm not quite sure if people have been burning through their vacation, but you also extended the carryover, so that effect will also be considered.
We only have one staff member who, sorry for interrupting, we only have one staff member who really, after the last finance committee discussion on that, it's gonna be to the detriment of the agency if leave is taken, and so we're working with him, but by December, that leave will be caught up. The rest of the staff members will be caught up by June 30th and or July 31. So I think things will look a little bit more back to normal in that perspective. As well.
Okay. Other questions? Compensated absences account 2,500. These are like vacations and things like that. Right? Compensated absences, which is 94,700. That would be like vacations and things of that nature.
That's correct.
Okay.
And that number is actually June 30.
June 3rd.
That number is not actually calculated every month.
Okay.
That's really at a lot of very cool.
Okay. All right. Other questions or concerns? The income number looks great, it's continuing to improve. As you pointed out, this is a lot of the year is certainly a lot better than former in a lot of ways. So let's share appreciation for that. I think that's great to hear. Other questions or comments on May's financials? Anything else on the 2021 outlook that y'all would like to share? Anything else you see you need to be apprised of? Anything you can think of? Yeah, get back to normal. Yeah, that's a good point. Excuse me. You have the things, okay.
Yes, this is page.
Okay, any questions from the screen? I apologize, I'm focused here. Mr. Newbill, Ms. Page, any questions or concerns as we look at the May financials and the 2021 outlook? Any concerns from your perspective?
Absolutely not.
No, I'm sorry, Ms. Page?
Go ahead, Dr. Newbill. I don't have any questions.
Yeah, I didn't either. It was clear and very informative. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you so very much, we appreciate that. We appreciate that. There are no other questions or concerns. Item 4 of our agenda, committee membership fiscal year 22. And of course, always like to share if anyone would like to serve as chair. Certainly, I'm not leaving the committee then, I'm just saying if anyone would like to serve as chair, certainly welcome to consider that.
Absolutely not.
I always like to share.
If you want to be done.
Oh,
Well, I guess actually, it could come in.
Okay, that's great.
yeah, they just.
Well, they picked the committee, but I think the committee. picks the
Okay.
chair.
Okay.
If we're still on the committee,
Do we do have a vice chair of the committee, don't we? Do we have a vice chair or do we not?
I don't think so.
Do you think we need one or you
Well, I
don't
think
need one?
they
Oh,
have-
y'all all
what's it
really,
for? But no, but-
yeah, you all can share in that regard. Okay, but you all consider
it's like a
chair,
everybody.
co-chairs, co-chairs, vice chair, everybody's considered that, so that's good. Okay, no problem with
I will
that.
say, I think,
Yes,
in anticipation of Mr. we know Mr. Winslow will be taking over as the chair in July, and I think in anticipation of that, I'm trying to get him information about who's interested in serving on the committees, and so if you would communicate with me or directly with him about whether or not you'd like to continue with the committee, that would be, I think, beneficial, and then we would work to schedule, the July meeting so that we can constitute your structure, and leadership, and everything.
I'm willing to continue, but if somebody else is interested.
I think we have a great committee, I'm willing to continue to serve on this committee, with the committee itself. I think it's an excellent committee. It's done a great job. Very challenging year. So,
Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am, Ms. Page.
since we have new officers, and I'm no longer going to be the treasurer, will I rotate off for the incoming treasurer on this committee?
Well, actually, I think you would have the opportunity to remain on the committee if you'd like, but we have historically extended an invitation to the treasurer to serve on the committee as well. So Mr. Lee is aware of that, and I think the intention would be that he would join the committee and participate. But that does not mean that you have to leave unless obviously, I know you have a lot of commitments, so.
Okay, thank you.
That might not have been what he wanted to hear.
In other words, we're not pushing you off.
I realize now that might not have been what you wanted me to say.
We're not shoving you away,
So sorry.
pushing you off. Ms. Page, as we said, very good committee. We appreciate you, all of you, everyone. We appreciate everyone serving in this capacity. Thanks so very much. Any concerns? How are things going overall, Ms. Hita? Because I know y'all done a lot of work. This is a transitional year with the CDTA, a lot of work there. With how's everything going? We're not overworking anyone, and any concerns from your perspective with the financial point of view?
Well,
Any concerns you see?
I think the staff, I'll speak for everybody. We're elated that the board has approved the new positions. This is a real opportunity for us to be able to move some pretty key initiatives forward for the organization. I think that the big push right now, and where our staff are really feeling, the stress, as it were, is with the long range transportation plan. Having that coincide with our federal certification review this summer is just, it's a lot after a pretty long year. So everybody has been really, really great this year. You know, I think you all know this already, but our staff members have just done a phenomenal job in maintaining deadlines, you know, continuing to move the work forward, stay on time with everything and keep up. And as you noted, I mean, the CBTA was an additional set. You know, I think Nicole's up to 4 meetings that she's pushed out packets for many of you this week. So it's been a busy time, but everybody's done a really great job with it. And I think many of our staff members are pushing to get to October. And then I think we're going to feel with the new positions coming on, the conclusion of long range transportation plan, and you know, having certification behind us. Those are 3 really big things that need to happen in this first quarter. And you know, then I think it'll feel a lot more like it's business as usual.
What are we doing for the summer? You know,
Yes, absolutely. I think you know, my sense from the committee this the last time we met and saw the response from the property owner is that we are very much still pursuing multiple options of alternative sites. And so the idea would be that if we want to pursue some sort of a renegotiation of the current space, I think the schedule that you looked at your last meeting would be that we would want to have that concluded by September of this coming quarter. And then if we choose the opportunity to negotiate a lease elsewhere, we want to have that wrapped up by March of 2022, so that we're really, you know, moving toward a move schedule essentially leading into next October. So very much still on the radar and working on, you know, what those space needs should be in the next 3 months. So this committee, I think, will be really active in that effort as well.
That's good. Thanks for that question. It's very important. I want to make sure we're on schedule and we're not, you know, behind in terms of whether we need to transition or what we need to continue. We want to really be clear on where we're going and make sure we have all the appropriate information timely enough to make that call.
We are kind of on a related note. We're taking the summer, you know, staff are still operating what I'll call a hybrid mode of on-site and telework. Basically, we're testing that this summer, and by September 1, we'll be in an established system. I think that for practical purposes, I don't know that telework is going to be, and we've talked about this before in the committee, but I don't know that a regular fixed telework schedule for our staff is necessarily going to work. And so I think, you know, what we want to do is try to be obviously competitive in the marketplace and provide flexibility. But I think most of our staff members have started to come to the realization that, you know, teleworking on Wednesdays and Thursdays is just probably not going to work for them or the rest of the
Well,
team.
the collaboration. is
Absolutely.
Part of what has to take
Absolutely.
place here.
Yeah.
You can do that.
So, you know, we're looking at that as it relates to space. And, you know, I don't think that we're going to be able to pursue some sort of massively shrunken space situation
Okay.
because of that.
Yeah, that's our expectation. Ms. Page, you have a question, comment?
A couple of things. So in the hiring of staff, and I'm going to use 2 people for an example, so I'm not picking on anybody, but almost all of my meetings, I see Nicole or Diane. So we'll, and we are very appreciative of the job that both of them do. However, will any of the staff be support for them? Because I heard about both of those persons moving into their, I can't say desired positions, but they're qualified positions and I know that they've taken on quite a bit of work through the pandemic. And we absolutely do not want to overwork and abuse our employees that work in excellence. So I want to know that. And I also want to know that through this time, if we have money in the budget or has any plan of appreciation been put in place for our employees this year?
Great questions. The budget that was approved in June, does include the creation of 4 new positions. 2 are specifically designed to assist, one with administrative support. So you will start to see another person involved in the meeting logistics and support to Chet and myself. And the other position is designed to be able to assume many of the responsibilities that Nicole has. So I think, yes, in answer to your question, 2 of the 4 positions are specifically designed to be able to bring some relief and support to, frankly, to Diane and Nicole, and then by extension, myself and Chet. The budget that you approved also did include a salary increase pool and a pool for reclassification. So those actions that you approved in June have been set in motion, and I would love to talk with maybe the executive committee as personnel committee about the possibility of doing some sort of additional one-time compensation for staff, and I could put together a proposal and bring that back if that was something that would be worthwhile.
Okay. I mean, I don't know if I'm talking about compensation or if I'm just talking about any kind of appreciation, you know, whether it's in conversation or whether it's in a gathering or whether it's in acknowledgement, you know, in that form. I don't know, but I just think that's important. You know, I think that's important for our employees. And I think the other thing is that in hiring new staff, that we make sure that we're not hiring people that are being paid more than those that we already have in place. And so I think that we need to look at the salaries there. I know quite a few times, not this organization, but some of the organizations are falling into the place of they're hiring people, but those that they're bringing in are making the same amount or more than those that they've had in positions for some length of time. So I just want us to be very cognizant of that as well. That's all I got, Mr. Chair.
And Rika, we just did an analysis
Yes.
of all ways, including the teachers, firefighters, everybody. And we made salary adjustments. That's what
I can't hear someone speaking. I'm sorry. Just a quick question. Did we provide bonus already for our staff? Bonuses?
Not well. I think Mr. Spoonhour announced at the last board meeting that there were selected bonuses awarded by the executive committee last winter.
Okay, but not recent.
But not more recently, no. And so
Okay.
to that point, I mean, I'd be very happy to put together a proposal for something like that.
Okay.
The budget does provide the salary increases effective July 1.
I got you. Thank you.
All right. Go ahead.
Not good. I would suggest that proposal be brought to this committee
Okay.
before we decide whether or not to take it.
Do you want to analyze the salaries that we're doing?
No, she was talking about some bonuses for
Staff
from this past year was an unusual year.
Yeah. Okay.
But I don't want to sit. I recommend we take something to the executive committee.
I agree. Fully.
I agree with
completely.
Mr. Peterson.
Completely. We all agree on that, I think, at this point. Okay.
Could
Great
you
point.
repeat what you said, Mr. Peterson? I couldn't hear you. I'm sorry.
I just asked that any proposal for bonuses for staff be brought to this committee prior to.
Oh,
us
okay. Okay.
recommending.
Excellent. I agree. I think we all agree with that. Okay, we're working that up to the proposal. Any other staff appreciation ideas you may have as well
Okay.
in that regard. Okay, other questions, other issues or questions? Any update on anything regarding the audit procedure, anything that we can share as to where we are in the timing thereof? Anything new developed? No problem, but just want to know if you have it.
I think preliminary field work is to be scheduled, and the
Okay.
kickoff call with you is to
Okay.
be scheduled.
Okay.
Mr. Rhodes knows that those are things that are
Okay.
on our expectations list.
Okay.
We did a call with him, Mr. Van Dornick, Diane, myself, just maybe 2 weeks
2
ago.
weeks ago. Yes.
Today was okay.
Yeah, so those dates need to be scheduled and he understands the timeline for the fall delivery of the audit.
The preliminary work was talked about somewhere at the very end of June.
End of June.
Very early July.
Okay,
Just with the holiday and the weekend and all that.
okay,
He needed to go back to the schedule.
yeah,
But a lot of it is probably going to be less.
okay,
And he does have access.
okay. Yeah.
So things are moving.
Well, that's good, and let us know the time thereof. Let us have a copy of his schedule, presentation in that regard, so we can, as a committee, will be informed about that. I would think that would be great to do. So thank you. Any other questions or concerns in that regard? That's it. We are ahead of schedule. How about that? Anything else anyone wants to bring up before the committee? Any other business to be discussed, new business, or any ideas to be discussed?
I would like to suggest one that we are using, YouTube. What, YouTube is what we're broadcasting on.
Zoom is that platform.
The Zoom is a platform for participation, but we're also live streaming
On YouTube?
on YouTube. Yeah, we continue that going forward. Obviously, in the next week, we can no longer use Zoom. We have to be here in person, once the emergency orders lift. But the YouTube, I think, is important to continue.
Well, the FOIA people recommend doing that. I forgot to bring the information, but I downloaded, well, the FOIA people, I'm on a FOIA committee. And I get lots of information, but they said that they would recommend doing that for public participation, which is one of the things we seem to not have much of.
Yes.
And yes, I agree, but if there's any way they could either type into the comment section and it could be read, during the meeting, if they, for public comment period, that, or anything after something we vote on, whatever, the public participation could be increased. And it's one of the things we're raising on. Yes, that would be, but you can't take, as you said, can't take one. This would be for public participation. More is better.
Okay, very good. Excellent point. Excellent points. Thank you all. If hearing no other comments, anything else to come? If not, we are adjourned prior to our scheduled time of 2:30.
Thank you.
Thank you all for